Assalamu alaikum, inshallah you're well guys. So today I'm going to answer the interview question. What would you do if your manager wanted you to take on additional projects? Now this is a scenario based question which I've already covered, so please do check that video out. But this came through as a specific request, so let's cover it off. Firstly, before any interview, you should be able to take an interview question and identify what the key skills or experiences the interviewer wants to hear about. So if we take this question as an example, the skills that the interviewer may want to hear about are time management, how you're able to juggle many priorities at the same time. And secondly, they want to hear about how you're keen and how you want to grow and develop so you'll be willing to take on additional responsibilities. Any employer will want to get the most out of you. They're going to be paying for all of your training and paying you a salary on top. And that's not for free. The last thing they want to hear is, no, I don't want to take on any additional projects. I just want to say, guys, don't worry if you're unable to take an interview question and straight away identify these are the particular skills or experiences I should be talking about. Some people are great at thinking on the spot. Some people are great at winging it. I'm definitely not one of those guys. I need to do my research and prep beforehand. And you just fall into that category as well. And I'd say with 90% of interview questions, you can do your prep beforehand. So nothing to worry about if you struggle to think on the spot. So either you're great at thinking on the spot and you don't need to do as much prep, or you're not so great and you need to do more prep before an interview. Either way, I don't want any excuses. Second tip is you need to have some understanding of the scenario before you go into the interview. Now you may be thinking, how am I going to know that? If I've never worked before, I don't know how this scenario plays out in real life. But think outside the box, guys. You've done your online research. You know you're going to be studying for a professional qualification. So that means juggling multiple priorities. You're going to be working on delivering important projects while studying at the same time. And I know that if you're trying to get a role in practice, you definitely would have heard about busy season. So you'll be working longer hours to deliver projects or audits before a reporting deadline. You have an understanding of that. You'll also have messaged people on LinkedIn with your questions, maybe done some work experience, or gone to an insight event. And through that, you'll have some understanding of the key day-to-day responsibilities in your role. Even though that question may sound tough, you're applying for your first professional role, you may panic and think, how am I supposed to answer this question? Through the reasons I just mentioned, you'll definitely have some understanding of the scenario. To give you an example, the opening part of your answer could be along the lines of, I'm definitely someone who wants to grow, so I'd love to take on additional projects and responsibilities to build my experiences and develop my skill set even further. But at the same time, I pride myself on delivering to the best standard. So I'd want to check in and make sure my existing workload isn't compromised. There's no point of me taking on additional projects if I'm going to compromise on the quality that I'm delivering. Now, in the opening part of my answer, I spoke about two things. I spoke about building experiences and developing my skill set. And I also spoke about delivering quality, delivering to the highest standard possible. And at the same time, I was also pragmatic. I said I didn't want to compromise on the quality of my existing workload. Now, some of you may have thought that the best answer is just to say yes. Of course, they want me to take on additional responsibilities, so that's what I'm going to tell them. But in reality, you can't be a yes man or woman at work. You can't work on every single project out there. It's not possible. You need to manage your workload so the quality of your output doesn't suffer. After the opening paragraph, you can develop your answer further. It depends on the scenario, but I definitely work with my manager to see how we can manage my diary so that I could take on these additional projects and grow in responsibility. For example, if I was revising for exams at the same time, I'd see if I could start my revision earlier or later so that I could take on these additional projects. I know that it's important we pass exams as part of the apprenticeship, but it's also important that I develop my experiences so I'm well set to build a long-term career at PwC. Now you can see what I did there. I finished the answer strongly by talking about wanting to build a long-term career with PwC in this example, and I also spoke about juggling multiple priorities, juggling exams with my workload. Now you may say to me, well Fazan, the question didn't allude to that. It didn't mention exams. But remember guys, scenario-based questions are very broad. In this question, there was no context, so use that to your advantage. It may be that the only thing you know about work life is that you're going to be balancing exams with projects. So in this question, absolutely fine to drop that. And it's okay to do that so long as it's relevant to the question that's being asked. No interviewer should punish you for that. And even if you're completely wrong, you've completely missed the point, they should follow up with additional questions to help guide you. Like I said at the beginning, my answer followed the same structure as the scenario-based questions which I've previously spoken about. I kept my answer high level. I didn't go into too much detail, so I avoided making a mistake in describing a situation or a scenario which is either unrealistic or just doesn't happen in the workplace. I also demonstrated an understanding of the workplace by speaking about balancing exams with work. I spoke about diary management. I spoke about a challenge, making sure that my existing workload wasn't impacted. And guys, I just want to stress an important tip for the scenario-based questions. Do not panic. The questions may appear tough to begin with, but if you look at my example answers, there's nothing there for which you could not have prepared for in advance. I'll leave it there, guys. As always, any questions or queries, please feel free to comment below or message me on Instagram.